Hello everybody, Corey here. I'm going to go over the trades and holdings for Friday, September 20th. Just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. All I'm doing is gathering the data and presenting it to you so you can make your own decisions and opinions. YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky, so please make sure you understand what you're investing in before doing so. All right, I was actually putting this off this morning, trying to make a shopping list, and because I thought I hadn't done the workbooks, which I sort of have and I sort of haven't. So I did work on these yesterday until I had to start working on the RV, but I didn't get finished because all the holdings hadn't loaded at the time. They have now, or at least they appear to be, but they're still linked, so they could. I doubt it, but I guess I really truly haven't looked through all of these. They could disappear while I'm doing this because I haven't copied and pasted values on these yet. And right now it's mainly because even though I worked on decluttering all day yesterday, like literally all day, it was in the bedroom. And so now there's a bunch of stuff piled on top of my desk. So I don't even want to go over there where my computer is. So we're just going to go forward and hopefully this all works out. One thing I did do, so normally, or at least I used to, right? Because I started doing this back in February. I would do all the videos, especially for those of you that have been around a long time, you know this. I would do the videos at night. I would sometimes be up, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, doing spreadsheets and videos. And obviously that wasn't going to work long term, though I did do it all the way until like June. And then vacations happened, New York happened, military duty happened, lots of things have happened over the last several months. And then this week I've been trying to get back into this, or the last couple of weeks I've been trying. This last week I've actually gotten into the habit of getting up every morning, working out, and then doing the videos and stuff and spreadsheets or whatever after that. Friday I had a MRI scheduled like early in the morning, so I did not do Friday morning's video. So what I've done is I've taken the trades from Thursday and Friday, and instead of, I've done this previously where I would jump back and forth, and there's like over 200 lines of trades. So what I decided to do instead, I just combined them. I'm sorry, I didn't even make this. Yeah, I combined them all to one sheet, and then I put them in alphabetical order. So there will be multiple trades or multiple lines on here. So you can see some of these say the 19th, some are the 20th. So that's how we'll do that with the trades. So I guess I should have said we'll be going over the trades for the 19th and the 20th, and then our current holdings. If you're new and you need anything explained within this workbook, just let me know in the comments and I'll explain it in the next video. That way I don't have to spend time on this because there is over 200 lines of trades here. I don't want to spend too much extra time, and then of course I won't go over every single line here. We will hit the highlighted stuff. If any of you want to, actually stop and look at the prices and, really look at some of these, then please feel free to pause the video as we're going through this. And as always, yes, I've seen comments. This is a long video. We're covering well over 20 ETFs in this video, so please fast forward to the ETFs you want to look at. Nobody says you have to watch all of the videos, okay, or all of the ETFs, especially if you don't want to watch them. All right, so we're just going to jump on in and get started. So ABNY, yep, that's our first one. So we can see that's the first set of lines. So from line 2 all the way down to line 13. So I don't even know if these are in order. I think I'd started trying to put things in order, at least on one sheet, and it may not have been both. Let's see if this helps me any. Probably not. Okay, so let's just start at the first two lines. So they closed out, it looks like, 35 of these synthetics with the 130 strike price at the top. Oh, okay, I see what happened. The first four lines, it looks like they closed out 35 stocks or 35 contracts, period. So it looks like some people may have sold out of this one. So that's what the first four lines are. And then the next four lines are where they closed out the synthetic for October 18th at a 110 strike price. And now it's December 20th at a 130 strike price. And then we have the next two lines. Those are the short calls that they closed out that were going to expire on Friday. 120 strike price there. And if it doesn't have the previous, oh, I don't have a freeze pane. Okay, let's see. There we go. If it doesn't have the stop price and difference here, it's because it was from the 19th, and I didn't have that data in here, so I just deleted it because I had pulled the trades, and then I never actually did the data that day. Sorry. So where was I? So the here. And so the reason I got to that because I wasn't sure what the stop price was. So I don't know what the stop price was on the 19th, but we can see on the 20th it was at 130. So you can see why it cost them $9 a share to close those out. So then we have our new short call for this coming week, 131 strike price. Yeah. Okay. So 131 strike price. So this was a trade from Thursday. And as you see, it closed Friday. We're already above the 131. Then now we do have a bought call. And so these right here will match those right there. So they ended up closing probably those after the fact, I'm guessing. Yeah, because it looks like these trades were done first and these were done after it because those match the new ones at the bottom. So it's probably this minus those. But anyway, so we also have a bought call with the 135 straight price. So there's all the trades, there's all the numbers, and let's move over here. Yeah. So you can see here we have 1,170 contracts. So we have our short call for this next week with the 131 strike price, which again, we're over 18 cents already, so no upside for the short calls. But then we have our bought call here with the 135 strike price, but we're still underneath that 3%. All right, so we'll move on to AIYY. So not as many trades here on this one. So it goes through this line. Let's see what we got. So the first three lines, they closed out on the first line. They closed out the short calls that expired on Friday. It's actually pretty good. They only paid 3 cents to close those out, which is interesting. Maybe they were waiting until later on the date because it was pretty close to the strike price. But they only paid 3 cents to close them out. And then we have this next week, we have the same strike price actually, the $23.50 strike price. And then we also have a bought call here with the $24.50 strike price. Now, the next four lines after that, you can see the quantity is 1,075 contracts. It looks like some people sold out here. So they closed that many of the contracts. All right. So let's move over to our holdings. And so we can see here, oh, this one, I did skip that line, didn't I? Hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was hidden up there. So it does look like they were assigned for one of the contracts that they had here. And so that's why that's right there. Now, what I did find odd here is that usually, like, one of these would be, like -1 here. But I don't know. But yeah, one of these here would usually show a difference of 1 because they were assigned for 1. This and it didn't show that, so I'm not sure. You'll see it in some of the other ones because some other ones did get assigned within these. Of course, that's if you're watch that long. But you can see this here. That will be gone next week. And maybe that's, let's see. No, it wouldn't make, still doesn't make sense. Yeah, so that's where I forgot to save the trades. Or the holdings, not the trade, sorry. That's going to make me have to do math. Yeah, so they're all in 5s. So, yeah, I'm not sure why one of those, whatever. But yeah, usually, and like I said, I'll point it out later if you're still watching, where it's usually offset by 1 share where they were assigned. 1 share, but 1 contract actually. Anyway, so for this next week, 23.50 strike price, which is we're only underneath that 25 cents. In fact, on Thursday we were over that strike price. But possible upside of 10 cents here for the short call. And then we have a bought call of 24.50 strike price, and we're underneath that 5%, which is $1.25. So moving on to AMDY. We only have 4 lines there. All right. So they closed out the short call and bought call that expired on Friday. So for the bought call, they only got 1 cent a share, and they had to pay out 25 cents to close, which is really good. So I don't know if these were done in the morning or in the afternoon, but you can see they were actually ended up here 95 cents above the strike price, but they only had to pay 25 cents to close it out. So yeah, that was the same thing with the other one. It was really close at the end of the day. I don't remember what the stock market was doing at the beginning of the day on Friday. I think it was down. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was down right off the bat. I could be wrong. But anyway, so then we have our short call and bought call for this next week. It looks like they did go up a little bit there on their strike prices. So we went from a 155 to 157.50. So we went up 250 on the short call, but for the bought call we went up $5. So that's interesting. So before you had a gap of $5 between the short call and the bought call. Now we have a gap of $7.50. Gap, spread, whatever you want to call it, $7.50. So sorry about that. Let's move on to the holdings. Oh, that sucks because I accidentally closed it. All right, so you can see here for AMDY, we have the short call for this next week, the 157.50. We are underneath that 1%, which is only like $1.55. Possible upside for the short call of about 14 cents. And then we have the bought call here with the 165 strike price. We're underneath that 5%, or roughly $9. So moving on to AMZ. Looks like we only have 4 lines for AMZ, which is closing out the short call and the bought call that we're going to expire on Friday with the 187.50 and 192.50 strike prices. And then for next week, we have a short call and the bought call, and they're both bumped up $5. So the short call went from 187.50 to 192.50, and our bought call went from 192.50 to 197.50 strike price. All right, so let's look at our holdings here. So we have an MZ with our short call with the 192.50 strike price. For this next week, we're only underneath that 90 cents. Gives us about a 9-cent possible upside just for the short call. Then we also have our bought call, the 197.50 strike price. We're underneath that 3%. All right, moving on to Appley. Lots of lines here, so I'll just put that there. So that's where we started, and they're not necessarily in order. So let's look at this. That's interesting. Actually, I think I remember this. The 4th. I got lightheaded. So what's this one at the bottom? Okay. So these bottom 3, I'm trying to see which the easiest way to do this. So the bottom 3 here, basically this is people buying into this. So 105 shares a piece for the synthetic and the short call. These 4 are where they closed out, which is interesting. The short call and bought calls that were going to expire next week. So they had a short call with a strike price at 220, and then they had 2 bought calls that were at 2 different strike prices. This is the only one I had seen like this so far. They had a 220, 250, and a 225. So they closed all of those out. I mean, I don't know why. Well, okay. I guess that makes sense because the stock was actually at 228.20. That's why. At the close of Friday. Of course, who knows? This thing might have went down next week, but who knows? It could have gone up, right? But we were at 228.20, and our strike prices for our short calls were at 220. So we were $8.20 over our strike prices. And we paid around $10.50 to close those out a piece. A share, to be very specific. So, let's see. To close those out, because they did have bought calls to offset some of that. And when I say offset some of that, they got almost $2.7 million for the bought calls. But they had to pay out around $3.9 million for the short calls. So in the end, they only had to pay out about $1.25 million. So then they went ahead and pushed this out to October 4th expiration. And now the short call is a $2.35 strike price with a $2.40 bought call. So $5 there. All right, so let's look at this on the holdings. So we can see here Appley. So they do still have 105 contracts. I guess that somehow got me. Oh, no, it's because it was already at the 235 strike price. So we have 105 contracts that expired this next week at the 235 strike price. And then, of course, then we have the October 4th. Wow, in a couple of weeks. Didn't realize we were that close with the 235 strike price. Of course, we're underneath those 3%, possible upside of around 51 cents here for the short calls. Then we have a bought call here with a 240 strike price. We're underneath that 5%, and this one doesn't expire for a couple of weeks. Babu. only have 3 lines here. They closed out the short call with the 87 strike price. That was going to expire on Friday. They were over at the end of the day $1.29. They paid $1.36 to close those out. Our new strike price for this next week is $89. So we went up a couple of dollars. And then we have a bought call here, a couple of dollars above that with the 91 strike price. So if we look at our holdings here, we can see we only had the $89 strike price. We are up underneath that only 1%, which is about 71 cents. About 17-cent upside here for the short call for Babu. But then we also have the bought call here with the $91 strike. We're underneath that 3%. Synthetics are looking good at this point. All right, let's look at Coney. Lots and lots and lots of trades here. I hope these are in some kind of order. Oh my goodness. Nope, they're not. All right, we'll just start right here at the top. So the first 3 lines, nope, the first 4 lines go together. So let's do this. There we go. So those first 2 lines expired on Friday. And then they basically just push these out to next week. So if we're looking at just the short call part of this, we had the 172.50. And then this was moved out to next week at the same strike price, 172.50. So that didn't change. They paid 18 cents to close this week's out. Then their bought call, they had a 182.50, which was $10 above the strike price. Now we have a 185, so now we're $12.50 above the short call strike price. Of course, they only got 1 cent for this past week. All right. So then the next 4 lines there are where they closed out 11,000 of the contracts. I guess the difference is a little bit on the price anyways. So on the second set, they paid 17 cents versus 18 cents to close those out, the 172.50 straight price, and then the bought call, they only got 1 cent. But they're the same strike prices and stuff. Same thing. The new strike price is 172.50 and 185. So again, just a dollar amount difference there. And then we have the next set. So what I'm going to do, just to make this easier, because we had the first 4 that went together, the next 4 that went together, I'm going to scroll this up to here. And the reason is because we have 6 lines here, all with the same quantity of contracts. So all right. So for the first 3, it just had a short call. No bought call with that one. Closed out 6,640 contracts. We ended up closing 9 cents over that 170 strike price, but they paid $1.26 to close these out. And now this is pushed to next week at a 180. So we went from 170 to 180 strike price here. And then we have a bought call that goes with this now, 195 strike price. So that's $15 above. And then they had another 6,640 contracts, but it was at the 162.50 strike price. So these were from trades from Thursday. And they paid almost $12 a share to close those out. Anyway, so they've closed those out, and then they got $1 from the bought calls that they closed out with the 180 straight price. And now for the next week, it has a 182.50 strike price for the short call, and then the bought call is a 195, which was the 195 was the same as above. So just to bring this all down in case you didn't catch, oh my goodness, all of them. These are all of the trades and all of the prices that go with them. So let's see what we actually ended up with after all of that, plus what we already had, right? Okay, so here's this. I'm guessing this bought call went with this second set. Remember I said, oh, this one doesn't have a bought call. This one, I guess it did, and it just didn't make it to the trades. So we see that issue when we look here at the holdings. So that'll probably be on Monday's trades, so they can get that cleared off. And then assuming, you know, that those were rolled to next week, then we would see it down here. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Right now, we show the 3 short calls with the 172.50, 180, and 182.50. We are underneath those strike prices, 1, 6, and 7%. You can see that we closed at the 170.09 on Friday, so that 172.50 is fairly close. But that is also where the majority of our contracts are, 22,000 contracts. So maybe not a lot of upside here for the short calls. Because basically it's going to cancel each other out once we start going above that. Because these other short calls, they're like $10 away, right? $7.50 and $10 away. So I'm only looking at this maybe about 11-cent upside for that short call there. And then we have bought calls. So at least the 2 that we can see at the bottom, we have the 185 and a 195. But we're underneath those strike prices, 8 and 13%. Also looking here, we have these synthetics. They don't expire still for another month, but we are 13% underneath one of those, significantly. But because of the other one, if we look over on the left, if we had to close all those out on Friday, it would only cost $17 million because we have one at a 155 strike price and one at 195. So it offsets it a little bit. All right, anyway, let's keep moving. I know that's what y'all were saying to me, right? We'll come back to crash and dips. I did not pull them out of order, just did a regular sort. So then we have Dizzo. I assume that's next. I didn't even look. Yeah. All right. So Dizzo here. Closing out the synthetics. Or actually just rolling. So same strike prices. They just moved it from an October 18th to a December 20th strike price. Overall, let's see. It only cost them $107,000 to do that, so that's great. And then we have our short call that expired on Friday with the 92 strike price. Of course, these were closed out on Thursday. We'll see on the next screen what they closed out on Friday at. But going into next week of a $96 and a $97 strike price, they split the contracts up between those 2. So I'm curious now to see where we closed on Friday. So we had a 92 strike price. Friday we closed at 93.75. Okay. So we were still above it because they had to pay $500,000 to close those out. But you can see those two new strike prices here, the 96 and 97. We're currently below those 2 and 3%. Gives us upside here based off the first strike price, about 21 cents for the short call, and no bought call here for Dizzo. Moving on to Phoebe here, lots of trades. So we go all the way down to here. Just do a quick glance. All right. And then if you were here earlier when I was talking about how it's usually offset by 1, you can see it here, what I'm talking about when they get assigned. So the first 4 lines is closing out the synthetics, expiring October 18th with a 525 strike price, now moving to December 20th with a 555 strike price. But then you can see on the next 2 lines, they had the short call expiring on Friday with a 540 strike price. They were assigned for one of the contracts, which is the reason for the stock line above that. And then so you can see their contracts over here for that they closed out was only 1,849 because of being assigned the 100 above. So then what they did for the next week, just to make it an even number, then you see that separate line there for one contract. I don't know why that one's grayed. But anyway. So the short call that they closed out the 540 strike price. The new one for next week is a 570 strike price. And then we have bought call with a 585 strike price. So yeah, so with that said, because of the way they had to do this, and the one I was talking about earlier, they'll have to do something to reverse that one because they had on there that they closed out too many. This one. Because usually, and that's why it doesn't even say short call here, I didn't catch that before. Oh, it doesn't even have a formula there. Oh, I probably deleted it because it was an error. Yeah. Because, so see that says bought call? Because it's backwards. Normally a short call has a negative, and because they closed out one too many, or they put on the trades they closed out one too many, and now it's showing up there. So there's an error on that one. And then of course there was an error on the other one for the bought call here that didn't show that they closed out. But I was just showing you, you know, if you were around earlier, I said you would see one later and how it was. And so the way this one was done is how they would do it when it's done correctly on here. Anyway, so we have the short call here for next week with a 570 straight price. We're only underneath that 2%, which is like $8 and something, right? $8.65. Possible upside here for that short call is about 30 cents. Bought call here, $5.85 straight price, and we're underneath that one 4%. Moving on to GDXY. Why are those purple? All right, so GDXY here. They closed out the 41 strike price. It only cost them 4 cents. That's good. And then the new short call for this next week is a 41.50. So I guess I don't expect it to go up too much. So we can see here that 41.50 strike price, which are currently under 2%, which is like 99 cents. But it gives us a possible upside for GDXY of about 44 cents for the short call. There is no bought call for GDXY. GUI here. All right, so the first 4 lines, they added 115 contracts, so that's people buying into it. And then the next 2 lines, all right, appears to be something missing. Either that or they had already closed out, but these are Thursday trades, so I don't know why they would have closed out half of them on Wednesday. That's not the norm. So let's just look. Oh, I guess they did. Well, hold on. So we show the new, and we show, hold on, did I, no? And then the new short call and bought call, 36.90. They had to have closed some out, though, before. It doesn't make sense. And who knows, it could have been an error from the previous day's holding that I don't have a copy of because I didn't save them. Let's see. Either that or I'm losing my mind. Okay, so they had these on here. These are the holdings on Wednesday. 36.90. Yeah, so this would have been Wednesday's holdings. So then the next day, think about that, because those are Thursday's trades. The next day, they bought almost 3,700 contracts without closing anything out. And then they don't show any trades on here for Friday the 20th to fix any errors. So I feel like now I'm losing my mind. Like, what am I missing? I feel like I've missed something. Because we only had 36.90 that expired next week. So unless they're closed out, right? Unless these with this were closed out, there's no way we had those trades for next week. But on the trades, let's look. Yeah, these are the original where I copied them over. There weren't any trades on this day. Let's just make sure. Nope. So I don't know why the custodian would have removed them without having the trades on the trade sheet. Unless, and then this has happened, right? They upload the trade sheet, and then they correct the trade sheet, but not the one that was uploaded. Or who knows, they could update it, but if somebody already pulled it, but I know he has said before, they don't normally upload, which then would make this off as far as, because we would have no clue what they would have closed those other ones out at. And the only thing that I would be able to do if I did that was do it based off of what the holding said the day before this right here. myself a note. Okay, anyway. Let's look at the holdings. Let's just go over the holdings. So it shows over here that we have the short call with the 165 strike price. And we're currently underneath that 1%, with giving us a possible upside of about 13 cents here for GUI. But then we have two bulk calls, a 167.50, which is where most of the contracts are, and then a little bit here at the 170 strike price, somewhere underneath those strike prices, 2 and 4%. Moving on to JPMO. All right, JPMO. So the first two lines there, just closing out the short call and bulk call that expired on Friday. Of course, these trades are from Thursday. I don't know what the stop price was on Thursday, but it cost $8.30 to close out that short call. And then our new strike price here for the short call went from a 202.50 to a 215. And actually, that's not right. What is going on? Oh, but they didn't have any trades Friday. That would have been okay with that if they had trades Friday. So this says they closed 1,110 out and then only opened 610. Hold on. But there was issues on this one. I noticed I had marked the other day. I only remember because we were just looking at it. And it had red on it. Yeah. It's hard to keep up with all of the issues. With the things that happened that messed the stuff up. Yeah, and this goes all the way back to the 17th here. I say all the way like it was a long time ago. Okay, so that was Tuesday, so that was a long time ago. So on Tuesday, they show where they had opened 500 contracts, but they didn't close 500. So then I guess it stayed on the holdings like that at least through Wednesday night. And then I don't have Thursday nights. So then I guess they didn't fix them until Thursday. So that's why that's there like that. So now this is showing. So then this is where you don't get exact pricing because, yeah, it shows closing out 1,110 here. But 500 were closed out the other day. But you don't know the prices because this is just showing the prices as of, whatever. Same thing when they correct them, when they, back them out and stuff. You don't really know what the true pricing was on those. But anyway, so then it shows just opening up 610, which should fix the issue. We'll see when we look at the holdings. So let's look at it. Let's see what we got. All right, so now they even out. We have 1,110 contracts, so now it's fixed. It just took like 4 days to get it done. I don't know what happened here. Clearly not right. Could be a typo, but I don't think this is one that I had to hand type in. Maybe it was, or maybe I screwed up when I was having to hand type something else. It's the bad thing about having to hand type stuff. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, yeah. So JPM. Yeah, I don't think that's one of my issue things, so I don't know what I did there. It could be. Let me look real quick, see if it's on my issue list. Oh, JPMO is on my issue list, and it was 18. Okay. Yeah, so I guess I accidentally put JPMO in the JPM spot. I don't know how I did that, but we will fix it. I will fix it. Give me a second. I apologize. I don't know. So, 210.48. All right. There we go. So we have a short call of 212.50 and 215 strike prices for this next week. We are underneath those 1% and 2%. Contracts are, somewhat split there. I don't know. Maybe about a 10 or 15 cent upside here for the short calls for JPMO. Then we also have bought calls at the 217.50 and the 222.50 strike prices. We're underneath those 3 and 5%, but I don't even know if we'd ever get that high because JPM doesn't normally move that much, but I don't know. We'll see. Murney. All right, I don't know why those color codes are messed up. It's all good. So the first two lines is them closing out contracts expiring with the 69 and 76 strike price. And then, so they went from and then the next two lines are them opening, right? So we went from a $69 short call strike price to 67. So they went down a couple of dollars, and then, that doesn't make sense. Oh, they did drop to 65, but still, they were anywhere from like up to $70 this past week. So I don't know why they would think they couldn't get back there. But anyway, then they had the bought call that went from a $76 strike price to a $70 strike price. Now, I will say, if you look at that, we went from a $7 spread between the short call and bought call to $3. And then the next three lines, we went the $73 strike price had expired on Friday, and now it's a $67 strike price. And then this one, they have a bought call for 70, but they don't have showing a bought call being closed out. So I guess we'll see when we look at the holdings if there was one or not. I know there's one of them that didn't, one of these ETFs, but I don't remember which one. Okay, so it must have been this one. All right, so we can see here we have the short call with a $67 strike price. We're underneath that 2%. But this is what I was talking about. So you can see on Thursday, we closed at $68. So to be, to have our short call now for this next week be at 67, it would have been, capped on Thursday. I'm assuming those trades were from Friday. They were. I don't know about that one. I'm not liking that. I guess the good thing is they have a bought call and the spread's not that big. But 17-cent upside here for Murney, which is at $8.71, by the way. 17-cent upside is for the short call only. But we do have the bought call here with a $70 strike price. We're underneath that 6% or $4+. MSFO. The first four lines here, just closing out the short calls that expired on Friday and pushing them out to next week. So we went from a 435 Well, we went from a 440 to a 440, and then we have a 435 to 445 because they're the same number of contracts. So those were just pushed up $5 a piece, or each, not a piece, sorry. So if we go over here, we can look at our holdings. We see those new strike prices, the 440, 445. We're underneath those 1 and 2%. But again, Thursday, you can see we were almost at 439. So we'll see how it goes, but upside here of about 11 cents for the short call only. No bought calls for MSFO. Moving on to Misty. So it looks like we have 5 lines up here, which to me doesn't make sense unless there's something missing here. But this is showing that we had a short call expiring yeah, that just makes sense. Okay, sorry, I was just looking because they had a short call with the 150 strike price. Here it's broken up into 2 lines, the first and third line, but they're both the 150 strike price. Half of them they paid 18 cents to close out, the other half they paid 19 cents to close out. But going into next week, only half of those went to a 155 strike price and the other half stayed at the 150 strike price. The ones that stayed at the 150 strike price, they also did a bought call for those, but there's no bought call listed for the other half. So the bought call for this is 160. So that's a spread between that short call and that bought call of $10. So that's sort of odd. Let's look at over here and see what this looks like, because I don't know what they had before that. Yeah, I don't. So this is something I don't think I've seen happen. So they have 3 short calls here, a 143 strike price, which we're already above, 1% or $1.78. It's only 200 contracts though. And then we have a 150 and then a 155. So again, 150, 155, they're about split with over 16,000 contracts apiece. But then they only have a bought call for half of the contracts, and it's 160. So the 150 and 155 strike prices for the short calls were underneath those 3 and 7%, and then the 160 strike price were underneath that 10%. So this is interesting. As far as upside for the short calls, about 40 cents here to that 150 strike price. And then, like I said, we have bought calls for about half of the trades, or half of the contracts. So let's move on to Nephle here. They closed out the $705 strike price that expired on Friday, and then just moved it to the next Friday. But now it's showing they also purchased a bought call here with a 715 strike price. So let's look at our holdings. I guess it didn't have a bought call before. So we have a short call with a 705 underneath that 1%. But if you look Thursday, they were at 704.32. So I guess that's why they did the bought call with the 715 strike price, which were under 2%. Upside here of about 10 cents for the short call. Moving on to NVIDIA. Oh my goodness, we have about 13 or 14 lines of trades there. I'm just looking to see. So you can see those purple ones. Those purple expirations are the synthetics. They're the same strike prices. So you have the ones from October 18th, both of them 109. It's just that they were closed out at different prices, different times. They were actually 2 different days. So they closed half of them out on Thursday and half out on Friday. So the ones they closed out on Thursday cost them more than Friday's. And they moved them from October 18th out to November 15th, and from a 109 to a 119 strike price. And then if we look at the other dates there, if we look at the short call, the first set, we had the short call that expired on Friday that they closed out with a 113 strike price. And then they moved them to next week with a 120 strike price. And then they also did a bulk call for 123. The second set, similar thing, they closed out the short calls that expired Friday with a 113 strike price. And then now next week it has a 121 strike price for the short call and 124 bulk call. So just $1 off from the others. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. So now you can see here we have our new synthetics and short calls and bulk calls. So our short calls here with the 120 and 121 strike, we're underneath those 3 and 4%. Possible upside to that 120 strike price there, about 38 cents there for that upside. And then we have the bulk calls here with the 123 and 124 strike prices. But why is that? So who made the error here? I just can't keep up with all these errors. This. Where is that? 120 strike price. Okay. So it looks like they already had a 120 strike price for 4,500 contracts. So that's why this is more. Even though you can see here it was 39, you add that with the 4,000 something they already had, which equals the 43 something, but because those were purchased before and they didn't have a bulk call to go with it, this is not going to match up, or at least I assume it didn't have a bulk call. No, it didn't have bulk calls. So that's why this does not match these, or this, because that's actually the one it was. So no issue with that one. All right, so OARC. What am I doing? OARC here, they closed out the short call with a 46.50 strike price. Of course, we did close at 46.90 on Friday, 40 cents above, which is actually what they paid to close those out. And then we have the short call for this next week now at a $48 strike price versus the 46.50. So if we go here, we see we have the short call with that 48, which we were at, again, almost on Thursday. We're underneath that 2%, though, on Friday, which is $1.10. Possible upside for OARC of about 24 cents for the short call. We do not have any bulk calls for OARC. moving on to PayPay. I don't see a closeout for any contracts. So they had 3,800 contracts here, a short call and a bought call. And then when we go to the trades, it does say 3,800, right? Yep. We have the new short call, but it does not show where they closed out the short calls or the bought calls. So again, now this is the second time we've had this, but it's not here either, which means they had to have updated the trades after the fact. The trade sheet that they sent a custodian, because the custodian's not going to update it on here unless it was on the sheet. But of course, on the sheet that we have, it doesn't show them. I'm just going back to the original sheets just to make sure. Yeah, we show here that it was just an open. And it's the same day. I have to check above. I can't remember if it was short and bought calls or not. All right. So we're missing that part. And then there's the synthetic here. They closed out that was going to expire next month with the $67.50 strike price. And now it's been pushed out to December 20th with the $75 strike price. So we can see here the short calls with that $80 strike price. We're underneath that 4% possible upside for the short call of 75 cents. For PayPay, and no bought calls this week. SMCY, top 4. As you can see, they closed out the 462.50 and the 470 strike prices. And then for next week here, we have a 470 strike price. Just one. So SMCY here, 470 strike price. We're underneath that 3%, which gives us an upside here of about $1.45 for SMCY. If you look over here, they went up a couple of dollars on Friday. Of course, SMCI went up $20, so that's why. All right, let's move on to Snowy. So Snowy here, you can see they closed out the short call with the 117 strike price. Only cost 2 cents. And then we have, for next week, we have a short call of 113 strike price. And then we have a bought call at 118. So that 113, we're underneath 2%. Of course, on Thursday, we were at 114. So I guess that's the reason for the bought call, in case that's too low there. we have a 118 strike price for that. We're underneath that 7%. So for the short call here, we have about a 40-cent upside if we can get back up to the 113 strike price. All right, SQUE. There were lots of trades here. All right. Just trying to put all this together. So the first 4 lines are from Friday, and this is where they had to close out 170 contracts where people sold out of them. The next 4 lines is from Thursday, where people had bought in, so they had to buy 510 contracts. And then the next 4 lines is where we actually get to this week's trades. So they closed out the short call with a 66 strike price, and the bought call with a 69 strike price, and these are from Thursday. And then they've moved these to next week. We have the short call now. We went from $66 to a $70, so we went up 3. And then for the bought call, we went from 69 to 74, so that went up $4 there. So we see how this looks on the holdings. Of course, we have a new update on some of those shares. But then we have our new short call here with the $70 strike price. Beneath that 4%, and then the bought call is $73 strike price. We're underneath that 8%. Possible upside here for the short call of about 66 cents for next week. All right, let's look at Tesla. Again, lots of trades here as well. So the first 4 is where they're going. So they have the same expiration date for these synthetics. They just went from a 240 to a 225 strike price. So I'm not curious because these are big numbers. They received 44.65 million. Yeah. And that's because they needed that money. So that's the first 4 synthetic. If you look at the other 4 down there that are purple date synthetics, they had a 230 strike price. They went to a 245. So these synthetics was 44, and these synthetics down here, they only got a couple of million for. So about 46.65 million for the for the synthetics. But for those short calls there, it cost them, this one cost them $40 million. They had a 230 strike price. I don't know where we closed on Thursday, but I'm curious, where did we close on Friday? 238. And that was 230. So yeah, they paid on Thursday over $13 to close out that 230. It's $5 more than what we actually closed at on Friday. And then just look at this other one they closed out. So they also closed out the 240, which ended up costing almost $5 a share to close out. Of course, you never know what's going to happen in the future, right? But if we'd waited till the next day, they actually closed underneath that. So anyway, our new strike prices for next week, we have the first one, they bought the short call at the I'm looking at both the short and the bought call. They had the short call, the 250 strike price, and they did a bought call for that one with the 260. But down on the trades, it shows the other one, which I guess they didn't have a bought call for either one of these. But the other short call where they went from a 240 to a 255, they did not do a bought call for that, at least what it shows on here. but it's only 1,000 something contracts. So let's look at the holdings. Okay, yep, matches up with the holdings, so no changes after the fact. So the short calls here with the 250 and 255 strike prices underneath those 5 and 7%. Majority of the contracts being at the 250 strike price, so upside here of about 60 cents for the short call. And then we have a bulk call with the 260 strike price, which were under 8%. Moving on to TSMY, there were no trades for this week. All right. Or I'm sorry, for this week, for Thursday and Friday. But TSMY here, we have the short call with 175 strike price, which is crazy. Oh my goodness, this is so crazy. Because Thursday we were at 176.22. Friday we were at 174. We're underneath this 92 cents or 1%, and there's no bulk call. Now, this would piss me off if I owned this. And I don't normally get pissed off at stuff like this, but that to me is, and I never called trade stupid either. But all these other ones, they were like sort of close or to the yesterday's thing or Thursday's price. And like this one was over this whatever, and then it's, I don't know, a lot of these trades. But the thing is, there's no bulk call. A lot of these other ones that we've been looking at, if not all of them, had bulk calls with them. I don't think I own this one. I might need to look at this because that's, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we keep going down next week, but that would piss me off if I owned this. Anyway, short call expires next Friday, 175 strike price underneath that 1%. Possible upside of about 11 cents here for the short call. All right, Zomo. We saw a bunch of trades for those, so let's look here. Closing and opening. They usually have these and everything grouped together, but not this time. All right. So just looking in the middle of those, let's look at the synthetics real quick. They closed out the synthetics that were going to expire on Friday. These were actually from Thursday. With the 115 strike price, they just moved them now to November 15th with the same strike price at 115. As far as the short calls go, you can see they closed out the 112 strike price for this week. They were over that. $3.27 at the end of the day, but they ended up closing them out for $2.48, so it was actually less. But they went from a 112 strike price to a 118 strike price for the short calls, and then for the bulk call, they went from a 114 to a 120. So if we go over here, we can see Zomo here, 118 strike price underneath that 2%, possible upside of 39 cents for the short call. But then we also had the bulk call here with a strike price of 120, and we're underneath that 4%. All right, so we did see some crash trades, so let's go find those. I went up way too far. Crash. Lots of trades there. So this is the first that I've seen, and I can only assume based on looking at the trades that these shorts can also do bulk calls. Of course, I will have to be careful and make sure I'm paying close attention to these. Oh, and I put bulk call. It should have said bulk put, sorry. Because the only reason I noticed this at first is because there was 515s, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So my coding won't work for this. So I'm going to have to manually change this when they happen. Yeah, I had it highlighted yellow before. So that's my assumption here of what these are. Which, now that I think about it, it's not going to be on the trades, or it's not going to be on the holdings like that. I'll have to change it because I didn't have a holdings when I did this last week. Or I say last week, I guess it was really only yesterday morning. It feels like it was days ago. It was a long day yesterday, but very productive, and I'm happy with the results. But anyway, so adding 15 contracts to everything, and then now our new bought put. And then closing out the 220 strike price for the short put that was going to expire on Friday, and moving that to next week with a 232.50 strike price, and then adding a bought put for those contracts. So if we go over, and let's check this out. Yeah. So because I have to change these manually, and then this one would be, I didn't think about this part when I was thinking about how I hadn't actually reviewed this and reviewed the holdings and everything here. All right, so we have our synthetics, our long call, the bought put, and the short put. All right. Whew, lots of things going on now in these shorts. But the short put, which is what most of you probably want to know, is a 232.50 strike price. But then we also have a bought put at a 220 strike price. And then dips, we had trades over there on that one. So let's look. So trades here, they just closed out the short put with the 111 strike price for Friday and pushed that out to next Friday, or they rolled it, or however you want to say that. Just looking here to make sure. Yeah. Okay, so all that's fine. So we have the two short puts now. We have a 110 strike price and a 111. We're currently 5% away from those. And then fiat, I don't think we had any trades. I don't remember seeing that, but let's just double check. Oh, we did. Look at that. Good thing I looked. All right, so it looks like they added 25 contracts here for the first 4 lines, the synthetic, short put, long call. And then we have the short put that expired on Friday with a 150 strike price. They closed that out, and then now we have a 162.50 strike price. So if we move over, and then let's see what we have here. Short put, long. Okay, so we're good here. We have 2 short puts with a 152.50 and a 162.50 that will expire next week. And then just because, let's just double check to make sure I didn't miss the Y. Q. I did down here at the bottom. I didn't miss it. I didn't get that far. So we do have trades down there. The 442 strike price expire on Friday, and that was pushed to next week for 474 strike price. So we can see here. Yep, we have a short put. That short put there, 474 strike price. We are only 2% away from that one. And then YBIT. We know we had YBIT trades. So their synthetics expired on Friday with a 28 strike price. So they closed those out and push them out to October 18th. With a $26 strike price. So 28 to 26. Trying to see, is that it? Yeah. So it cost them $3.7 million to close those out. Just curious. All right, and then we have 2 short calls that expired on Friday, 18 at 18.50. So they closed those. And now we have a 19.50 strike price for this next week. And then they also did a bought call of 20.50. So if we look here, we see the new synthetics. So we're underneath 27%. And then we have the bought call, 19.50. We're underneath that 2% or 46 cents. Possible upside of for Bybit. Sorry about that. 32-cent possible upside for the short calls. And then we have the bought call here with the 20 at 50 strike price, and we're underneath that 7%. And then let's go down to YieldMax here. We have, obviously those aren't short calls. I just haven't changed this. These are our synthetics. Oh, I don't want to do that because I just want to clear it. There we go. I guess I'll type it for you just in case somebody's not listening. All right. So your synthetics here for Murney, $85 strike price. And then the short call was $68 strike price. Of course, we had said earlier we closed at about $65. So, I don't know if this will be the end of these this week or not, but we'll check and see. And, yeah, see if they're still here for next week. I don't know. I feel like there's something different. Yeah. This is where I thought we had a bought call. But now it's not there. So, oh goodness, sorry. I got to open all these hidden things. Oh, well, it expired on Friday, so I guess that makes sense. I guess I just didn't do it for the next week. All right, that's it. It's a long video, I know, but we had Thursday and Friday, which are our most heavily traded days. We had over 200, this doesn't have any spaces. Okay, we had 191 or 190 lines of trades that we went over. Not to mention however many freaking ETFs we have now. I don't even know. So, dang, is it really that many? So, if we just, what is that, 30, and then I wouldn't count the rest of them, 30. I didn't realize we'd hit the big 30. But yeah, if we do the 31 there minus the header row is 30. So, we're doing 30 ETFs now. All right, crazy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.